StrayAllDay.com. You're now tuned into the show where you learn discipline, show up day after day, do the work, confidence, put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is, we're getting into part 2 of our ongoing 10-part series on how to be a wolf. Before I get into this, I remind you of 2 things. First of all, my daily motivation and Monday motivation messages guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point to start your day or your week respectively. All you got to do to get these is be a member of my texting community. Text me at my number 305-384-6894. And once we start sending those messages again, every member of the community will be getting those messages. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. You'll have to work with me directly, have me as your direct coach. You know it is time to start making some changes in your life, and you're ready to put that on the speed track rather than the slow track. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That link is down below in the description wherever you are consuming this. With that out the way, let's pick up where we left off. Again, we are on part 2 of what is going to be a 10-part series, How to Be a Wolf. If you didn't hear the introduction, go back and listen to yesterday's class. Point number 4 is where we're picking up. Embrace independence. This means being able to be alone on your own and being completely okay with that. Now, while there are wolves out there who do run in packs, wolves can be pack animals. There are also wolves out there who run out there on their own. And even when they're on their own, they are not anxious, nervous, or afraid about the fact that they're on their own. Now, I'm not telling you to be a lone wolf all the time by complete design and choice and just do everything on your own, because that means you got to do a whole lot more of the work if you're doing it by yourself, as opposed to using the efforts and leveraging the abilities and the knowledge and the skills of other people on a team. But if you happen to be by yourself for some periods, and many of you will be, especially if you're ambitious and you're set down to do things that haven't really been done by most of the people around you before, you're going to spend some time being the only one in your corner. You're going to be the only one on the team. And anything that happens is going to have to be done by you. There will be times where you are in this position. I'm saying you want to be able to take care of yourself and handle yourself and still thrive even when you're alone, so that when you are with a team, you are able to add to that team, and the team only helps you. You're not leaning on them as a crutch as if you need the team, because if something happens to the team, then what happens to you? Then you fall apart. So you would only be bringing something to the table with any team that you join because of the value that you already know that you bring to the table. Get what I'm saying? So wolves are not anxious, nervous, or afraid about being by themselves, even if they aim to be with a group. So in the human world, those of you who tend to be critical thinkers, who look at reality as objectively as possible and are not led around by your noses or by your emotions and feelings, you will find yourself being a bit different than most of your peers and most of all other humans. You'll find that this happens often, that you may find yourself isolated in some ways, mentally, if not physically, because you just think about things differently than other people. And if you are unwilling to embrace this independence, then you may find yourself, again, conforming to the crowd or to the group just so that you can be a part of it, because you feel naked and alone and uncomfortable being by yourself. But if you are willing to embrace this independence, then you will find yourself often, again, not with the group, simply because the group just can't see things the way that you see things. And this is just how it is. And again, this doesn't need to be a source of worry, anxiety, or fear. This is not a negative thing. It's all a matter of how much you are willing to embrace this independence, if and when you need to. All right, this just happens at times. Sometimes you just need to embrace this independence because it's just what the situation is. I remember reading this book by Michael Jordan. I believe it was the first book he ever put out. It's called For the Love of the Game. And it's one of those big, like, picture type books. It's like one of those books you will see on a coffee table that has all these big, bright images. And this book came out around 1999, because I remember one of my classmates in high school, he brought the book to school and he let me see it, and I'm looking at it and I liked it. And I'm like, can you get me one? And he's like, yeah, I can get you one. And I asked him where he got it from. And this guy was from my classmate. He was from North Philadelphia. He said, no, I'd just be knowing like smokers. Smokers is another word for drug addicts. And he knew these drug addicts who somehow, some way, would steal these books. And then he would pay the drug addict for the book lower than the actual sticker cost of the book. And then he would bring it to school and he would sell it to people like me. So yes, I just admitted to you that I bought a book that I believe to the best of my ability, it got stolen by a crackhead. But I didn't touch it. I didn't see the crackhead steal it. I don't even know who the crackhead was. I just got it from my classmate. But anyway, the book was called For the Love of the Game by Michael Jordan. And I remember reading through this book, and there was a section in the book where Michael was talking about how he had developed such great chemistry with his teammate named Scottie Pippen. He said over the years, as Scottie continued to play with Michael and practice with Michael and be around him every day, Scottie learned to be more of a predator on the court. And Scotty, when he first came in the league, he was very talented, but he didn't learn how to be a predator. By Michael, he was using the phrase to me like someone who goes on the attack. He's always on the attack in the game. He never sits back and lets the opponent attack him. He goes and attacks them. He said he taught Scotty how to be that. And at some points, he felt like he was playing with one of his twin, because Scotty learned to be that kind of attacking individual, not just sometimes, but he learned to be it like most of the time. And then Michael went on to say, the thing is about Scotty, that Scotty was a predator as long as he knew, Scotty knew that he had a pack of wolves behind him. But I, on the other hand, this is Michael Jordan talking, he said, I, on the other hand, am a predator even when I don't have a pack of wolves behind me. So there's a difference between the two. But as long as Scotty knew he had the pack with him, he was a great predator. But when he didn't have a pack with him, he wasn't a predator. And Michael just made that point there in his book. And it just got me, is one of the things that I thought about when I wrote this point, when I came up with this point for today's class. So again, you got to learn to be a predator like a wolf is. A wolf is a predator even when a wolf is by itself. As a matter of fact, a wolf probably becomes even more of a predator when it's by itself, because it knows it has no one to depend on to go get that food if it needs it. Point number 5, today's topic once again is how to be a wolf. Point number 5, master self-reliance. As we just talked about in the 4th point, a wolf is able to go out and handle its own business with no backup and no help if and when necessary. So if a wolf finds itself with no pack, no backup, no support system, the wolf still has to eat. Okay, the wolf's going to die if it doesn't eat. So it still has to go out there and kill something one way or another. So with no backup and no help, a wolf will still get its business handled. I would suggest you become this in your own life and in your own situation. You need to be able to make things happen, stop things from happening, create and manufacture outcomes, and move things and people out of your way if and when necessary. This is one of the things that Robert Greene talks about in my favorite book called 48 Laws of Power, chapter 28, Enter Action with Boldness. And in that chapter, he talks about how when you carry yourself with a bold and confident energy, you tend to move people and objects out of your way just by force of nature, by force of will and force of energy. People just get out of your way because they can feel your energy. They feel you before they see you. And they decide just to move out of your way because something about your energy tells them that they should probably just get out the way. Whereas, on the other hand, when you approach things with timidity and fear and anxiety, you tend to put objects in your way that weren't even there simply because your fear is causing things to get in your way. In other words, you conjure up things to get in your way, slow you down, and stop your progress just because of your fear, when if you flip the energy around, same situation, all of a sudden everything is moving out of your way. And this is all about the energy that you show up with. This is all about your being, which we talked about a few episodes ago. So a self-reliant person, the wolf, is one of the most valuable members of a group. Let me say that phrase again. A self-reliant person is one of the most valuable members of a group. Why is this? Because that person is capable of making things happen even if you didn't have the group, which makes having a group around even better for you, because you make the group better by being a part of it. And the group is better. The group helps you do things for you that you otherwise would be able to do yourself. But now you can save a little bit of your resources because the group will do some things for you. And again, you're adding value to the group. One of the things that I tell you all, when you're a leader and you're a high level player, you're an A player, as people like to say in the business world, the sports world, an A player. You know, one of the definitions of an A player, they're a person who makes any group they're a part of better. That's what an A player does. You can put them in any group, doesn't matter what the group already has or what the group doesn't have or who they are, or whatever. You put an A player with any group, that group will be better because the A player is on the team. The team does not necessarily have to have a specific need that the A player can fill. An A player makes any team better no matter what the situation is. No matter what the current situation is, put that A player on the team, that team's going to be better because they're there. Speaking of Michael Jordan, in 1984, Michael Jordan was going into the NBA draft, and a team that had a high draft pick, Michael Jordan was drafted as the 3rd player in the NBA draft. So it was a team way up there in the draft. They called college basketball coach, legendary coach by the name of Bobby Knight. And they called Bobby Knight to ask them who they should probably take as their draft picks. Bobby Knight was one of the most respected coaches in college basketball at the time. And Bobby Knight coaches the University of Indiana, or at least he did at the time. I believe he passed away not too long ago. I think he passed away. Let me check and make sure. I don't want to kill Bobby Knight if he's not actually dead. I think he died a few years ago. But let me check. Bobby Knight passed away. He died in 2023. So yes, Bobby Knight did die. I didn't kill him. He was already dead. So Bobby Knight was one of the most respected coaches in college basketball. And Michael Jordan did not play at the University of Indiana. He had actually played at University of North Carolina. But Bobby Knight had insight into the best college players because Bobby Knight had been the head coach of the Team USA national basketball team. And this is back in 1984, before the USA started sending professional players, we sent our best college players to represent us in international competition. We didn't start sending NBA players until 1992. That was also known as the Dream Team. But in 1984, we sent all the best college players. Now, in order to pick that team, Bobby Knight had basically a tryout, a training camp with all the best college players. I don't know how many of them it was, maybe 50, maybe 100. They all came to a training camp and they all practiced and played against each other for days. And Bobby Knight just whittled the team down until he had the team. Michael Jordan happened to be on that 1984 team. So Bobby Knight had a lot of insight into all the best college players because of this experience as the USA coach. So when this NBA team called him, they said, hey, who do you think we should pick for the upcoming NBA draft? And Bobby Knight immediately told them, pick Michael Jordan. And the team responded and said, well, we need a player at a different position than the position Michael Jordan plays. Michael Jordan was a shooting guard. There are 5 positions in basketball: point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center. These days, we usually just go by point guards, wings, and bigs. We don't really go into those details as much anymore. Because the game is, players are much more dynamic these days, or at least they're designed to be much more dynamic now because of the play style. And the team, talking to Bobby Knight, said, well, we need a player who plays the center position. So the center position is like Shaquille O'Neal. So all of you know what Shaquille O'Neal looks like, right? He's 7 feet tall, 300 pounds. Michael Jordan is like 6'6". It was still pretty tall, but it ain't 7 feet. Michael Jordan was about 215 pounds, so much smaller than Shaquille O'Neal. The team reaching out to Bobby Knight said, we need someone at the center position, Shaquille O'Neal's position, whereas Bobby Knight told them to take Michael Jordan, so it doesn't quite make sense. And Bobby Knight said he replied back to them, take Michael Jordan anyway and put him at the center position. Now, that's what Bobby Knight was saying was kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing because, again, imagine Michael Jordan trying to guard Shaquille O'Neal. It kind of doesn't make sense. He's overmatched physically. But the point that Bobby Knight was making was exactly what I'm explaining to you here. Michael Jordan was an A player, and Bobby Knight could tell even back then that Michael Jordan was an A player, which means no matter what you already have, if you put Michael Jordan on the team, he's going to make the team better. And I think we all can agree. Looking back on it, Bobby Knight was right. Putting Michael Jordan on the team would have been a pretty damn good idea. And unfortunately, according to Bobby Knight's story, the team did not take Michael Jordan. The Chicago Bulls took him, and the rest became history. The point is that when you're an A player, you make every team you're on better. Simple. It doesn't matter what the team is. If you're involved, it's going to be better. So mastering self-reliance and being independent does not mean that you shun other individuals. It just means you can take care of yourself if you need to. And you can handle things on your own in case individuals shun you. Or if you decide to shun them, you can take care of yourself. You're good even without help. All right. And an A player does not necessarily need help. They will benefit from help and they will be a help, but they don't need help. There's a difference. Moving on to point number 6. We're talking here today about how to be a wolf, our ongoing series. Number 6, be fiercely self-determined. I discussed self-determinism in episode number 1259. Self-determinism is all about you making decisions, this keyword, decisions, about how your life is going to go, how situations will work out, and knowing that you can adjust the situation to your liking if and when you feel like it, regardless of external circumstances. That's what self-determination is about. You can turn situations to your liking if and when you feel like it, regardless of what's happening around you. And the reason you're able to do this is because you have made the decision that you are going to determine outcomes. This has nothing to do with your physical tools or abilities, though you may have them. It's nothing to do with external circumstances, which you can't control, even though they may be favorable or unfavorable to you based on how you choose to look at it. It's only because you made the decision that you will determine the outcome. And when you make a decision that you're going to determine the outcome, all of a sudden things start to work in your favor. The universe starts to conspire to work in your favor because you made a decision. You cut off every other option and you put all your focus and all your resources on one specific option. All of a sudden things start working for you. This is just the way it happens. You may think it magic, but this is how the universe works. When you make a decision that something's going to happen, things start working in the favor of the thing that you decided is going to happen. Whereas, on the other hand, when you have so many options open and you have yet to make a decision, you have all these different possibilities floating around. It seems like nothing is working in your favor because nothing is. You haven't made a decision yet. Self-determinism is all about making decisions about how things are going to go, regardless of circumstance. Wild animals are self-determined for the fact that they don't have the ability to reason and rationalize the way that humans have the ability to reason and rationalize. When a human doesn't have what we want, we can craft a story in our head that makes it okay so that we can relax until the next time we try to fix the situation, if there even is a next time. We can rationalize an unwanted situation and make it okay, even if it's really not okay. Wolves, on the other hand, don't have this ability. So when they don't have what they want, they get even more determined to go get it right there in the moment. And because they don't have the ability to tell themselves a story that they can do it tomorrow, as humans do, they usually get things done exactly when they say they're going to get things done, because they don't understand that there's a tomorrow. A wolf can't tell itself, well, I didn't eat today, I'll try to eat tomorrow. A wolf only understands, I need to kill something right now, or otherwise I'm not eating, period. Now, if they end up, doesn't mean they always end up killing something, but they are looking and hunting as if there is no tomorrow, because again, animals don't have this ability to rationalize and tell themselves stories to make an unwanted situation seem okay. Humans have a great ability to do that. And rationalization is one of the things that allow us to dominate the animal kingdom. And even though I just told you that, at the same time, I'm asking you to put that aside and think more like the wolf in some areas. There's some areas where you want to be more human. There are other areas, like the ones I'm going to explain in this 10-part series, where you want to be more like the wolf. And you don't give yourself an out clause and say, it's okay, I'll take care of it next time. Because again, a wild animal who has not eaten in a couple of days doesn't understand it is next time. All right, they understand it's this time. So I suggest you be more like the wolf in this regard. All that said, let's recap today's class. Was part 2 of our ongoing series on how to be a wolf. Number 4, embrace independence. A wolf is a pack animal, but a wolf also knows how to take care of things on their own. You want to be the same. Number 2, master self-reliance. A wolf can go out and handle its own business with no backup and no help if and when necessary, and all the time if it's all the time necessary. So a wolf is just reliant on itself and reliant on its own abilities to handle things, and that makes it even more valuable to a group. And number 6, be fiercely self-determined. Again, self-determinism is about you making a decision that you will determine how things will go, regardless of what the circumstances are in front of you. This is much more of a mindset than it is a skill set. When you develop the mindset, the skill set will come naturally. All that said, tomorrow we'll get into the next part of this series. You want to work with me directly, get access to the Bulletproof Mindset Framework, get your mind in the right space so we can start doing the right things to get you to have the right outcomes. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre, all